Brianna's hands shook as she stared at the glowing screen of her phone, the investigator's email confirming the impossible. The woman she had just proposed to in the middle of Central Park was Lila Kane, the only heir to Victor Kane, the man who had nearly destroyed her family's empire a decade ago. The ring on Lila's finger felt like a chain now, pulling her between the love she had hidden for so long and the family honor she had been raised to protect above all else in their traditional New York circles. It had all begun on a chilly autumn evening when Brianna, exhausted from another day running Caldwell Enterprises, had wandered into Central Park to clear her head. There, curled up on a bench under a thin blanket, was Lila, her face peaceful in sleep despite the hardship evident in her worn clothes. Something about the young woman stirred Brianna, a vulnerability mixed with quiet strength that she hadn't felt in her own privileged but suffocating life. "Hey, are you okay?" Brianna had asked softly, offering her coat. Lila woke with a start, her eyes meeting Brianna's with a mix of fear and gratitude. From that moment, their conversations flowed effortlessly. Lila shared stories of losing her job and apartment due to circumstances she kept vague, while Brianna opened up about the pressures of her billionaire lifestyle, without revealing her deepest secret: her attraction to women, buried deep to satisfy her father's expectations of a straight marriage that would strengthen business ties. Over the next weeks their bond grew. Secret dinners at Brianna's penthouse, long walks where they held hands discreetly, and late-night talks where Lila's laughter made Brianna forget the weight of her legacy. For the first time, Brianna allowed herself to dream of a life where she didn't have to hide who she was. The proposal had felt right that rainy evening. Brianna dropping to one knee under the park lights, her voice steady as she asked Lila to build a future together. Lila's yes had been immediate, tears mixing with raindrops. But now the truth crashed down. "Lila, is this true?" Brianna whispered, her voice breaking as rain began to fall harder. Lila's face paled, the color draining as she realized the game was up. "I never meant for this to happen," Lila said, her voice trembling. "I ran from that life to be free, but I fell in love with you instead." The two women stood there, the city around them oblivious to the storm brewing that would test their love against the unyielding walls of family honor and social scandal. Brianna's mind raced with the consequences: her father's heart condition, the board's conservative views, the potential loss of her position if the lesbian relationship and the rival connection became public. Yet, looking at Lila, she knew the choice was already tearing her apart. She pulled Lila close, the embrace desperate, but the fear was already setting in. How could she protect the woman she loved without destroying the family that had sacrificed everything for her success? The night stretched on as they walked back to the car in silence, the weight of the revelation pressing down like the storm clouds above. Brianna's phone buzzed again. A text from her sister asking about the mysterious new friend someone had spotted them with. The walls were closing in faster than she had imagined. By the time they reached the penthouse, Brianna's resolve was cracking. She had spent years building an image of the perfect daughter, the flawless CEO, all to shield her mother from scandal and her father from another heart attack. Now one woman had upended it all. Lila sat on the couch, hands twisting in her lap, explaining how she had changed her name and disappeared after her father tried to force an arranged marriage to a business associate's son. "I couldn't live that lie anymore," Lila said, eyes pleading. "But I never knew you were connected to any of it." Brianna paced the room, her mind flashing to childhood memories of her father lecturing her on family duty at the dinner table, her mother quietly nodding in agreement. The Caldwell name meant everything: charity galas, board seats, legacy. A public lesbian relationship with the Kane heir would be seen as betrayal on every level. Still, as Lila reached for her hand, Brianna felt the pull of something real for the first time. She kissed Lila gently, the moment tender yet laced with dread. "We'll figure this out," she promised, but even as the words left her mouth, doubt crept in. The next morning brought the first crack. A call from her father demanding she attend the family brunch where marriage prospects would be discussed. Brianna hung up, heart racing, knowing the clock was ticking on her secret. Lila watched her from the kitchen, coffee in hand, and for the first time Brianna saw the same fear mirrored in her eyes. Their love had started as a lifeline in the park, but now it threatened to drown them both. The day unfolded with tense planning, Brianna suggesting they keep things quiet a little longer while she investigated further. Lila agreed reluctantly, But the air between them had shifted. Every touch carried the shadow of what was coming. By evening, Brianna had convinced herself she could balance both worlds, at least for now. But deep down she knew the choice was coming. And it would cost her more than she was ready to admit. The park proposal felt like a lifetime ago already. The joy replaced by a heavy silence that followed them into sleep. Brianna woke to the sound of her sister's voice on voicemail, the tone sharp and insistent. "Bri, Dad's asking questions about that woman from the park photos someone leaked on social media. You need to explain this before the board hears." The words hit like ice water. Lila stirred beside her, eyes opening with the same worry that had kept them both awake late into the night. "We can't keep hiding forever," Lila said quietly, reaching for Brianna's hand. But Brianna pulled away gently, the fear of family fallout overriding the comfort. "Just give me time to talk to my father on my terms," she replied, already calculating how to spin the story. The morning unfolded in a blur of phone calls and careful lies. Brianna headed to the office, her mind replaying the investigators' report on Lila's true identity. Victor Kane had been ruthless, buying out suppliers and spreading rumors that nearly sank Caldwell Enterprises. Now his daughter was in Brianna's life, and the irony burned. At the board meeting, whispers followed her. Colleagues mentioned the new friend in hushed tones, and Brianna forced a smile, claiming Lila was just a charity case she was helping. The lie tasted bitter, but it bought her time. Back at the penthouse that evening, Lila had cooked dinner. A simple pasta dish that reminded Brianna of normalcy she craved. They ate in silence at first, then the conversation turned to their families. Lila opened up more about her father's controlling ways, the arranged marriage she fled, the homophobic comments that made her realize she could never be herself there. "I thought I was alone until I met you," Lila confessed, her voice soft. Brianna shared her own struggles. The debutante balls, the pressure to date men for appearances, the nights she cried alone because her truth felt like a threat to everything her parents built. Their embrace that night was deeper, more urgent, a quiet affirmation of the love they refused to let go. But the next day brought the first real confrontation. Brianna's sister, Claire, showed up unannounced at the penthouse. "Who's this?" Claire demanded, eyeing Lila with suspicion. Brianna tried to deflect, but Claire had seen the photos and dug deeper. "Dad's already worried about the company image. If this is what I think it is, you know what it'll do to Mom." The words hung heavy. Lila excused herself to the bedroom, leaving Brianna to face her sister alone. "It's not what you think," Brianna lied, but Claire wasn't buying it. "Don't make me tell Dad first. Fix this before it blows up." After Claire left, Lila emerged, tears in her eyes. "Maybe I should go. I don't want to ruin your life." Brianna pulled her close, refusing to let go. "You're not going anywhere. We'll handle this together." But inside, doubt gnawed at her. The following week brought more pressure. A major investor pulled out after hearing rumors, citing personal conduct concerns. Brianna worked late nights to salvage deals, Lila waiting up with quiet support. Their moments together became stolen. Quick kisses in the elevator, whispered promises in bed. Yet the fear grew. Lila started receiving anonymous calls from her own family, hints that they knew she was back in the city. "They're looking for me," Lila admitted one night, voice shaking. Brianna promised protection, but the cracks were showing. At a family dinner Brianna attended alone, her father grilled her about marriage prospects. "The Thompson boy would be perfect for the merger," he said, eyes hard. Brianna nodded numbly, the weight of expectation crushing her. Driving home, she realized the betrayal was already happening inside her. The part that wanted to protect her family warring with the part that needed Lila. When she walked in, Lila greeted her with a hug, but Brianna hesitated for the first time. "We have to be careful," she said. Lila nodded, but the hurt in her eyes was clear. The weekend brought a brief escape, a drive upstate where they walked hand in hand in the woods, pretending the world didn't exist. Lila laughed freely, and Brianna felt alive. But on the drive back, her phone rang, her mother's frail voice asking if everything was okay. Brianna assured her it was, but the lie sat heavy. Back in the city, reality crashed harder. A tabloid blog posted blurry park photos with captions hinting at a mystery woman in the billionaire's life. Brianna's PR team scrambled, but the damage was done. Lila suggested they pause public appearances. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything, she said. Brianna agreed reluctantly, the separation already feeling like the first betrayal. Days blurred into strategy sessions. Brianna meeting lawyers in secret, Lila researching ways to legally distance herself from the Kane name. Their love remained, but tension mounted. One evening, after a particularly bad day at work, Brianna snapped at Lila over nothing. This is getting too complicated, she said before apologizing immediately. Lila forgave her, but the seed of doubt was planted. As the month ended, Brianna knew the facade couldn't hold much longer. The family honor she had guarded so fiercely was now a prison, and Lila was both the key and the threat. Their goodnight kiss that night carried the weight of unspoken fears. The romance still beautiful but edged with the knowledge that choices were coming. The confrontation came sooner than Brianna expected. Her father summoned her to the family estate in the Hamptons, the sprawling mansion a symbol of everything she stood to lose. Explain these rumors, he demanded, slamming a printed tabloid article on the table. Brianna sat across from him, heart hammering, Lila's face flashing in her mind. It's not what it looks like, she started. But the lie died on her lips when her mother entered the room, eyes tired but sharp. Brianna, we raised you better than this. Family first always. The words echoed the lessons of her childhood, the strict traditional values that had shaped her. Back in the city, Lila waited anxiously at the penthouse. When Brianna returned, the story spilled out, the ultimatum her father had given. End whatever was going on or face consequences at the company. Lila listened, then revealed her own call from Victor Kane. He knows I'm here. He wants me back to secure the inheritance before the board meeting next month. The parallels hit hard, both women trapped by the same legacy pressures. That night they talked for hours, mapping out a plan to keep the relationship private, while Brianna bought time at work. But privacy came at a cost. Lila started avoiding public outings, and Brianna canceled their usual weekend plans. The emotional distance grew even as their love deepened in private moments. A week later, the first betrayal struck from within. Claire cornered Lila at a coffee shop near the penthouse. Stay away from my sister, she warned. You'll destroy her career and our family. Lila, terrified of causing more pain, agreed to pull back temporarily. When Brianna came home that evening, Lila was packed. It's for your own good, Lila said, tears streaming. I can't be the reason your family suffers. Brianna begged her to stay, but Lila left for a hotel, the door closing with a finality that shattered Brianna. Alone, Brianna paced the empty rooms, anger mixing with grief. She called Lila repeatedly, leaving messages of love and promises. The next day at the office, performance dipped. Deals slipped. Investors questioned her focus. Her father noticed, calling with another warning. Get your head straight or I'll have no choice but to step in. Brianna knew what that meant. A forced engagement or removal from the CEO role. Desperate, she tracked Lila down at the hotel. Their reunion was emotional, Lila admitting the fear had made her run. I love you too much to watch you lose everything, she whispered. They spent the night talking through the pain, deciding to fight together but smarter. Brianna hired a new investigator to dig into Victor Kane's weaknesses, hoping for leverage. Meanwhile, Lila reached out to a distant cousin for advice on claiming her inheritance without full family involvement. The plan felt solid, but the stress showed. At a charity gala Brianna attended alone, old friends probed about her personal life. She smiled through it, but inside she was breaking. Returning home to Lila brought relief, their embrace a reminder of why they were risking it all. Yet the betrayals kept coming. Victor Kane leaked a statement hinting at family reconciliation, indirectly pressuring Lila publicly. Brianna's mother called, voice weak, asking if the rumors were true. Brianna denied everything, hating herself for the lie. Lila overheard and withdrew again, the cycle of fear repeating. Maybe we were never meant to be public, Lila said one night. Brianna refused to accept it, pulling her into a long kiss that spoke of determination. But the company board called an emergency meeting, citing leadership distractions. Brianna defended herself fiercely, but the writing was on the wall. As the week closed, Lila suggested one last secret weekend away. They drove to a quiet cabin upstate, the isolation allowing them to breathe. Conversations turned deep dreams of a future where they didn't have to hide. But even there, phones buzzed with family messages. On the last night, Brianna made a vow. No more running. When we get back, we face it. Lila nodded, but her eyes held uncertainty. The drive home was quiet, the tension building toward the inevitable explosion. Brianna knew the next confrontation would force the irreversible choice, and the price would be steep. The board meeting turned into an ambush. Brianna sat at the head of the long table as directors questioned her personal stability, citing anonymous tips about her relationship. Her father watched from the video link, face stern. "We can't afford scandals, Brianna. Fix it or step aside." The words cut deep, echoing the family honor she had internalized since childhood. She left the meeting reeling, calling Lila immediately. "They know more than I thought," she said, voice strained. Lila met her at the penthouse, and for the first time they argued. Lila suggesting she go back to her family to deflect attention, Brianna refusing to let fear win. The fight ended in tears and a promise to stand united. But fear won anyway. Days later, Victor Kane's lawyers contacted Lila with an offer. Return home, marry the arranged match, and inherit everything, or be cut off completely. Lila showed Brianna the letter, hands shaking. "This is my chance to protect you," she said softly. Brianna felt the betrayal like a punch. "You're choosing them over us?" The confrontation escalated, voices rising in the penthouse for the first time. Lila left again, this time to meet her father secretly. Brianna followed at a distance, watching from her car as Lila entered the Kane building. The wait was agony. When Lila returned hours later, she was pale. "I told him no. But he threatened to expose us both if I don't cooperate." The shared enemy bonded them closer. But the damage lingered. Brianna's career took hits. A key contract lost to Kane Enterprises, whispers in the industry. Her sister Claire called with more bad news. Their mother had been hospitalized after hearing rumors. "This is on you," Claire said coldly. Brianna rushed to the hospital, sitting by her mother's bed, guilt consuming her. Lila waited outside, respecting the family boundary. The visit ended with Brianna promising her mother she would do the right thing. Back home, Lila sensed the shift. "If being with me is destroying your family, maybe we should stop." Brianna denied it, but the seed was planted. Work became a battlefield, late nights, canceled dates, Brianna throwing herself into deals to prove her worth. Lila grew distant, spending days alone researching legal options for her inheritance. Their romance, once a refuge, now felt strained. A public event forced them together, a charity ball where both families would attend. Brianna insisted they go separately but meet privately. At the venue, eyes followed Brianna as she navigated conversations. Spotting Victor Kane across the room, she tensed. Lila arrived later, beautiful in a simple gown, and their eyes locked across the crowd. A stolen moment in a side hallway led to a desperate kiss, but footsteps interrupted. Claire saw them. "I knew it," she hissed, storming off. The betrayal was complete, Claire told their father that night. The next morning brought the ultimatum. Brianna had 48 hours to end the relationship publicly, or be removed as CEO and disinherited. Lila read the email over Brianna's shoulder, tears falling. "This is my fault," she whispered. Brianna held her, but the decision loomed. They spent the day in isolation weighing options. Lila suggested disappearing together, but Brianna knew running wasn't the answer. The 48 hours ticked down with intense conversations. Memories of the park meeting, the proposal, the love that had changed them both. On the final night, Brianna made her choice. "I'm not hiding anymore. We'll go public." Lila's eyes widened in hope and fear. The press release was drafted, but sending it would change everything irreversibly. Brianna hit send on the press release at midnight. The words "in a relationship with Lila Kane," hitting the wires like a bomb. By morning, headlines exploded. Caldwell heiress comes out with rival's daughter. Phones rang non-stop. Her father called first, voice cold. "You've chosen. Don't expect anything from this family." The disinheritance papers arrived by courier that afternoon. Brianna stared at them, the career and legacy she had built slipping away. Lila stood beside her, support unwavering but eyes filled with guilt. "I never wanted this for you," she said. The days that followed were chaos. Board members voted her out as CEO. Investors pulled funding. Friends distanced themselves. Brianna's mother sent a single text. "I love you, but I can't support this." The isolation hit hard. Lila faced her own storm. Victor Kane cut her off publicly, but quietly transferred some assets in a last-ditch attempt to control her. They moved to a smaller apartment, the penthouse sold to cover legal fees. Mornings started with coffee and strategy sessions. Afternoons with job searches for Brianna. Their love remained the anchor, quiet evenings talking through the pain, gentle touches reminding them why they fought. But the sacrifices mounted. Brianna lost contact with her sister entirely. Lila's cousin reached out with warnings about Kane lawyers circling. A court battle loomed over Lila's inheritance rights. Through it all, confrontations continued. Victor Kane showed up at their new place one evening, demanding Lila return. "You're throwing away billions for this lifestyle," he sneered. Brianna stepped between them, voice steady. "She's choosing herself." The door slammed on Victor, but the encounter left Lila shaken. Brianna comforted her through the night, their bond strengthening in adversity. Yet doubt crept in for Brianna during sleepless hours. Was the cost too high? Her old life of power and security was gone. Social media filled with hate and support in equal measure. One particularly vicious article linked the scandal to Caldwell's stock drop. Brianna read it alone, tears falling. Lila found her and held her silently. The turning point came at a small support group for LGBT professionals. Lila suggested they attend. Hearing other stories gave Brianna perspective. "We paid the price, but we're free," one woman said. Back home, Brianna looked at Lila with new clarity. No regrets. But the final test arrived when her mother called from the hospital again. "Come see me alone." Brianna went, expecting rejection. Instead, her mother whispered, "I was wrong to push you so hard. Be happy." The words healed a piece of her, but the family rift remained. Lila waited at home, and they celebrated the small victory with a quiet dinner. The inheritance battle heated up. Lila won a partial victory in court, enough to start her own small foundation. Brianna found consulting work, rebuilding slowly. Their life was simpler but authentic. Still, the betrayals left scars. Claire sent a final message blocking all contact. Victor Kane's empire weakened from the publicity. Brianna and Lila stood together at a press event announcing Lila's foundation, hands linked openly. The world watched, but they no longer hid. The journey had cost careers, family ties, and security, but it had given them truth. Months passed and the new normal settled in. Brianna and Lila shared a modest brownstone in Brooklyn, mornings filled with shared coffee and plans for the foundation. Brianna's consulting firm grew steadily, clients drawn to her story of resilience. Lila thrived running programs for young women escaping controlling families, her own past fueling the work. Their love had evolved deeper, quieter, forged in fire. Evenings often ended with walks in a local park, a reminder of where it all started. Yet echoes of the old life lingered. Brianna received occasional anonymous letters from extended family urging her to come home and fix things. Lila's father sent legal threats that went nowhere. The couple faced them together, stronger for the trials. One crisp spring day, they returned to Central Park, the bench where they met now a symbol of courage. Brianna slipped a new ring onto Lila's finger, simpler, but meaningful. "This time no secrets," she said. Lila's yes came with tears of joy. The wedding was small, attended by new friends and a few reconciled relatives, including Brianna's mother who had slowly come around. No grand estate, no media circus, just authenticity. As they exchanged vows under simple trees, Brianna reflected on the irreversible choice that had cost her empire but given her life. The reception was laughter and stories, the past acknowledged but not defining them. In the years that followed, their foundation expanded, helping others navigate the same battles of identity and family honor. Brianna occasionally consulted for LGBT-owned businesses, turning her pain into purpose. Lila published a memoir about running from legacy to find love, the book becoming a quiet bestseller. Their home filled with photos of the journey, the park, the proposal, the hard times, the triumphs. The family scars never fully healed. Claire remained distant. Victor Kane passed without reconciliation, but the peace they found outweighed the losses. Looking back, Brianna knew the price had been worth it. Their love stood as proof that personal truth could survive even the harshest traditional pressures. One evening, sitting on their porch watching the sunset, Lila turned to Brianna. "Would you do it all again?" The answer was immediate. Every single day. The story of the billionaire and the park woman had ended not in ruin, but in quiet victory. True or false? Family honor should always take precedence over personal identity and love?